Hi everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Liquidware Chats. This is a very special episode because it's focused on the launch of CommandCTRL, our brand new real-time remediation solution. So we have none other than Jason Mattox, CTO here at Liquidware. We first start by looking at Jason's career in EUC. He then tells us the story of the origins of CommandCTRL. We then delve into the features and innovations of the solution. And like every other episode, we finish with a look at the impact of AI on EUC. Really hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks very much. Jason, thanks very much for joining us.
Great to be here. I've been waiting for this day to come. We've had a few of these chats going, and I've been looking forward to talking about CommandCTRL. You guys have been tying me down about this.
Yeah. No, we've been, as you said, this is a day that everyone at Liquidware has been looking forward to when we can talk about this and that it's live. So just to go back a little bit, let's start with yourself and how you came to be in the EUC world.
Yeah, it's a fun story. I go back to WinFrame, NT351 days in the 90s. I was one of the probably youngest people for a long time to be Citrix certified before I was 20. So that was always fun. And MetaFrame, 1.0 or 1.8, somewhere in there. So that was
you precursed me. I was MetaFrame 3.0, I think.
There you go. Yeah. So went through all those days, and I stuck with it. I did a stint doing consulting in EUC in the 90s and early 2000s, and then transferred over to doing image-based backup and did that for a good while with ESX Ranger, vRanger, Vision Core, Quest, Dell, however you want to call it nowadays. And then we all linked back up because a lot of us have worked at a few different companies, and now kind of back into EUC, which I've always had a lot of fun with. Because you think back to the NT4 days, those were the hard days of EUC, really hard days of EUC, especially terminal server days. And so all these problems are all the same. They haven't changed much. It's just a matter of where the compute is. Is the compute in the data center? Is it in the cloud? Is it on the laptop? It's all the same similar problems: shortcuts, drives, printers, applications, performance, monitoring. All that stuff is all those kind of the same.
All of this stuff, it's almost cyclical. We're back to where we were with cloud-based computing because it was all, dumb terminals and stuff. So it all goes in cycles, and the same problems still exist, which keeps us all in the jobs we're in because we're still trying to solve some of the same issues. So speaking of issues, what kind of prompted the development of CommandCTRL?
Obviously, Liquidware has been around for 14 years. Stratosphere has been around, actually predates Liquidware. And so as we went through the journey of selling Stratosphere to customers, 4 years ago, I went and saw a really big customer in Ohio, and they really wanted the ability to just do more than just monitoring. They want to be able to take action and control the desktop and run scripts. And they had 20,000 laptops all over the world on oil rigs, on satellite connections within their offices, and they were just spread all over the place. And so, going to that meeting with our sales reps and realizing that we didn't quite have the real-time remediation, the scripting, the remote control, the real-time diagnostics. We didn't have the things they were looking for. And so I kind of came from that meeting, kind of disappointed that we couldn't fill that service, that need for that customer. And so when I got back that week, I did a proof of concept on the core technology of what CommandCTRL is. One of the core technologies, not all of them, but one of the core ones, is that can we collect metrics every 3 seconds in real time and give you that real time metric collection. So it's like looking at Task Manager over the person's shoulder, but from a web console anywhere in part of the world. And that POC was successful. So I kind of started up a startup within Liquidware. I started down that path, 4 years ago. Last month was 4 years, literally in July, with one developer and myself doing all PM, all QA, all the work behind that developer, alongside doing all the work with the other products that we have and with the other teams that I run as well.
Yeah.
And so it's been a long journey. We've got more resources, more developers, more QA. Obviously, if we're going to launch the product, we got to have more than just me and the one guy. We're not a complete startup. We're a mature enterprise company, right? And so it's been a long journey, and that's where it was born from, and it's going to continue to evolve. And the excitement, we've already got through the beta program and just the customers using it now, and some of the features some of the customers haven't even seen or used yet, just through the beta program, has been really encouraging. And so we're really excited to have people come by the booth and look at it and play with it and demo it for themselves potentially. And then, I won't steal thunder, but there's going to be multiple versions available, on this day too, with free version available for the community. So there's a lot of excitement around this. And frankly, we haven't launched a net new product in a really long time. We've been maturing our existing products for the enterprise space and the customers. So this is a net new product launch, which has been a while since we've done that.
I'm personally really excited as well, because obviously, I've come on board and we're gearing up toward this launch, and I've seen it, even how the solution has developed even from the first 6 months I've been here. We had a solution, but we've developed it so much since then, and it's getting better as we get closer to launch. And I'm really excited to see what people think. What are kind of some of the key areas Command Control is focused on in terms of feature set?
Yeah, so I think you can kind of divide it up in a little bit of thirds. So a third of the product is that real-time monitoring. And we're collecting every 3 seconds these metrics. And that's a very tricky thing to do, to not compromise the endpoint from resource consumption from our own agent having to collect those metrics. But we also have thresholds we apply to the real-time metrics as they come in real time. And so as the data comes in real time, it's highlighted when it violates a threshold. So you can see very quickly, oh, this person is having a lot of memory utilization, but it's actually one process that's consuming all the memory. And we show you that process front and center. Oh, they're having high CPU. Oh, it's a process. Oh, wait, the CPU is high, but there's no process consuming. That means overall, a combined processes are consuming all the CPU, and it's being highlighted. The latency to the gateway at the home network, the Wi-Fi distance, all of those things are highlighted real time. So that's a portion of the monitoring. The other part of the monitoring that we're really excited about, I like to call, the DVR. That feature allows us to collect every 10 seconds when we're not looking at it real time. We're collecting every 10 seconds, and we call back every 5 minutes. So if you have a real-time situation with an end user, you have data within 5 minutes. If you're trying to look back and see what happened before they call the help desk or call level 3, and I can go back and I can fast forward, play, rewind, speed up, slow down, just like almost like a YouTube video, and I can watch the entire dashboard play back in front of my eyes to see exactly what the user might have been feeling and experience at that time.
The one distinction we want to make with the DVR is that it is playing back the console. We're not looking at the end user's screen. So there's no kind of privacy issues around that. We don't see any data or anything like that. It's just purely the metrics that are displayed in the Command Control console.
Yeah, we're playing back the database, right? We have all this data in the database. We're replaying the database in front of your eyes, in front of you. And then I guess the other part that you get into is, what can you do to real-time remediate? That's another third of the product. So real-time remediation could be stopping a service, terminate a process, run a script to do some kind of remediation, pull up a real-time PowerShell command prompt, to the machine over the internet, no matter where the device is located, and have that rich PowerShell command prompt where tabs work. All the PowerShell things that you usually do, they function fantastic within that. So now I have real-time remediation with those particular pieces. And then the last third is kind of real-time diagnostics. How can I diagnose something? Somebody had a Teams issue or something, or somebody has some kind of networking issue. I can go to Command Control's console, and just like Liquidware, we all work from home pretty much ever since the pandemic. We'd all just stayed working from home. No big deal. We all been working from home because we're in EUC. We've been working from home since 2001.
That was the big thing about the pandemic. Oh, we're all going to work from home. I remember we had, was it in 2008? We had a big storm here in Ireland, and everyone was snowed in, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's great to get a day off." I went, "No, we have Citrix. I'm able to fully work from home." So it's like it's new to anyone. The whole thing, pre-pandemic, the pandemic was when the wider global world worked from anywhere, whereas anyone working in EUC had been doing it, as you said, as far back as 2001. It was nothing new to us. So yeah, it's interesting to see how it has now become a global phenomenon.
Exactly. The side joke has always been, there's a MetaFrame server somewhere in every company. You can find it. Just find the modem, find the server, it's somewhere. That was the joke in the 2000s, you know. But you go into be able to troubleshoot somebody's home network, because the home network has become an extension of the enterprise network, because now the IT team has to troubleshoot a heck of a lot more people on their home network when they have performance issues or user experience problems. So now I can go to command control. I can do a speed test to that device, no matter where it's located remotely. I can ping something. I can trace route. I can see the latency, all without even talking to the end user or disrupting their day. If they're able to work partly through their day, I can determine, is the home network a problem or is it not a problem? Did Susan go outside on the patio and decide to work, and she got too far away from the access point? So she had high gateway ping times, latency, and then she had distance she was further away from the access point, and it created latency. I can see all those things really quickly. So that's kind of the third and thirds, the real time, the monitoring plus real time monitoring, the real time diagnostics, and the real time remediation. Those are the big key buckets of the product today. They're going to keep on expanding as well.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things, the beauties of command control, in my opinion, is the fact that we can do all of these remediations and we never have to initiate a remote session to that end user. It is done completely from the console. And I think that's really good, because support say, oh, can we initiate a remote session? I'm like, oh, great. How long is this going to take?
Yeah. Yep.
So it bypasses all of that. And the person can have logged the ticket via ServiceNow or whatever. And, the help desk can just work away and say, oh, it's fixed. There you go. And the person goes, wow, great. So yeah, it definitely, I think, is an enhancement to the end user experience as well, because they're not impacted by having to stop working while you initiate a remote session.
Or they take a remote session over, they go, you know what, we got to reboot. And that's like the worst. You're like, oh my goodness, what did I not save? What did I save? Now, granted, nowadays, if you're using OneDrive correctly, it auto saves for you all the time. But a lot of people still are trying to get used to that bandwagon. The other thing I will mention, I forgot to mention about the remediation is, that, and we talk about this later, but the open AI and ChatGPT integration, and what can that do for remediation? You're looking at processes on the screen, and they might have some cryptic names like msngn.exe. What is that? What is that process doing? Why is it consuming so much memory? So we have ChatGPT integration where you can click on that information for that process. We'll go out and ask ChatGPT in a very intelligent, informative, learning way, and teach it and ask it for it to come back. And it comes back with a real nice, here's what the executable does, here's its purpose, here's why it's here, here's the manufacturer, here's the manufacturer's website. All these pieces of information come back. We store them in the database. What's neat is we store them in a database globally for not just your tenant, but all tenants. So what happens is it reduces the cost of ChatGPT, because right now we require the customer to bring their ChatGPT subscription to us and enter that API keys into our product. And so that reduces your cost. So if you and I are in the same tenant, we both query the same process, it only goes out one time. If somebody else in another tenant asks for that same process also, it doesn't even touch their ChatGPT APIs for charges. We store that data for 90 days. Now, we store it for 90 days because, and we flag it because processes are always changing. New products are coming out. A process might change, might be a different name for a process. The same name might do something different now. So then we store all that. And so that helps with the remediation. What the heck's going on? Is it a virus? Is it malware? And so you're going to know pretty quickly what it is.
I've used the ChatGPT integration, and it shows you the file location, gives you a detailed description, and it gives you obviously the name of the process as well. And you can go, oh, that process is fine. It's a Windows update process because there's about 200 of those, something like that. Right. So, or it's Defender because that has a bunch of so it is easy for that kind of whole eliminating something. There is a couple more innovations we have within the solution. I suppose the big one will be Switch.
Yeah, Switch is interesting. This is one where, as we look at EUC, and the end user has to come from somewhere. They don't just come from thin air to a virtual desktop, no matter where that desktop is hosted, right? They have to have a device, whether it's a phone, whether it's a PC, Mac, thin client, what have you, right? And so as long as we can install the agent on both ends, the physical device, which right now is Windows and Mac, we support those today at launch. And then you put the agent on the other side in the hosted desktop, no matter where it is. And what's neat about this is when you think about that connection, I could be at home at the Jason Mattox family PC is my username, right? And it's some arbitrary username, but it has the agent on it. And then I could be logging in with my jason.mattox at liquidware.com, at the UPN side into that hosted desktop. We actually will still make that connection and connect the two together so that we can see that you're coming from this arbitrary device. And so what happens is inside the interface, it'll show you so you can easily switch right to that hosted desktop and vice versa to the physical device. So now I can go back and forth very quickly. But the way the switch is kind of even more extended to me is as you look at the physical device, we also take the metrics. We support PCOIP, BLAST, HDX, and RDP, and Frame. And we actually will mirror those to the hosted desktop's dashboard. So before you click on the switch to switch over, you can quickly discern, next to the Wi-Fi adapter, next to the Wi-Fi adapter on the physical device, you have the hosted display metrics side by side. And you can say, oh, the Wi-Fi is horrible. That's why the display metric is horrible. Let me switch over to that hosted desktop and see that's really where the issue is. So you can eliminate the physical device, the physical home Wi-Fi very quickly, and then switch over to that hosted desktop pretty fast.
That's a really cool aid in terms of troubleshooting, because the whole thing of troubleshooting is elimination. And that's a way to quickly eliminate the endpoint as the cause of the issue.
How do you find Mattox family PC username, right? From the source machine. You never find it in the system. You never will. So,
exactly.
Right?
That's one of the things is with things like Frame, we're able to convert and pull out that username from the user sessions rather than some string. You get the actual username and then can find it within the console.
Yeah, that's a good point on the non. That's so what you're talking about there is the non-domain
non-domain joined.
Yeah, that's a big use case for Frame. It's a big use case for AppStream, which we support both of those, AWS. So we actually will correlate the authentication UPN to the arbitrary in the guest username, a Frame user or Photon user. We connect those together because if you look at most products, you get Photon user 1,000 times, Frame user 1,000 times. That's useless, right?
Yeah.
Who the heck is that? And so we connect those together. And then we also pull in the UPN if you're doing laptops that are work group joined at the NT level, but they're Azure Active Directory joined. We pull in the short name and the UPN name as well for the Azure Active Directory. So if it's Cloud PC or a laptop, that's Azure Active Directory joined, we have those tied up as well. So you can definitely find the user no matter where they're coming from and make that connection.
Excellent. I think you've covered the broad spectrum of features of command control, and I think people are going to be really excited when they actually get to see it themselves and utilize it. Is there any other features?
Yeah, so we have scripting, a couple other little features too, I'll cover in a second too. But the scripting library will have kind of pre-approved scripts by us that we know that are not malintent or anything like that. And then you can upload your own scripts to your own library. So you have your own private library for your tenant. The community cannot upload scripts yet. We're not curating scripts yet. That's a future state thing. To allow people to submit scripts, we would have to have staff go through them and make sure there's no malintent. But the scripting library is very powerful. It'll run a script across hundreds of thousands of machines. Anything you can think of that you can script up, you can pretty much run. And what's really neat about it is it's not a fire and success or failure. You actually can go back and see the live output from the script that ran. Just like our PowerShell command prompt is live, you see the script live and you go back and see the state of the script live of what it did real time. So that's really powerful in the scripting library. And I believe that's an opportunity for those more techie people that can write scripts. Our partners can come in and help customers write remediation scripts that they can run them. And then on that partner angle and or helping customers, we have the ability for sandboxing. And so we can do 5 tenants. You can do 5 tenants as a sandbox. And so if you wanted to have a test tenant, you wanted to test a new version of the agent before you roll it out in the enterprise, you can. The other part of that is the ability to switch tenants is where that goes into. So I could be Coca-Cola and I have a partner, an M7 partner, and I want to have them part of my tenant. I can invite a partner to my tenant, either for stag augmentation or for level 3 support. They can join my tenant and then help my end users and help my help desk people, my level 3 people, troubleshoot and remediate particular issues on the EUC devices. And so I think that ability for the partners to be able to join the tenants, be part of as many tenants as they want, it allows the customers to get even more help, with the solution and from the partner's expertise. And then they're also writing scripts and uploading those scripts as well for remediation and giving those to people to help remediate, so that the sandboxing, the switching tenants, that type of thing is pretty powerful with a solution like this.
I think, as you said, there's immense power there within the scripting library with pre-populated scripts, and then the ability to have your own private script library as well. Those are two really powerful features. So the product is out. You guys can go to our website. You can get your hands on it. We welcome any feedback. We now have our own Slack community as well. There's a command control channel in there. So feel free to drop us any comments on that. We're really looking forward to seeing how customers and partners and end users kind of react to the solution. So Jason, just to kind of finish up, we briefly talked about our own integration with ChatGPT. In a kind of a more general sense, how do you see the impact of AI in EUC?
I think in general, you're going to see overall AI is going to help with kind of more statistical and behavior pattern analysis. I think that's going to continue, whether it's our products or other products. I mean, obviously, it's very clear that the strength of AI is around historical and statistical data. So I think it's going to help with resource allocation, user behavior, even dial that in even more to optimize costs and resources, especially when you're paying for so much compute in the cloud. I think it's going to definitely help in that arena to help optimize and help that behavioral area. I also think it's going to help administrators, have other abilities that maybe they don't have. Maybe I don't want to give it too much away on our side, but maybe helping to write scripts or things like that could be done, or helping to query data in a more generic way that it's more natural language. You're not writing direct queries on your own where the AI is doing the queries for you. Tell me, you type in literally like a Google search, in my environment, tell me the highest CPU yesterday, Wednesday at 2:00. You type in the question, right? Then the question turns into a query, and the query goes into the database and finds it and pulls it out. Okay, here's the highest CPU. Oh, sorry. Can you repeat that same question by user, by machine, by server, by cloud? So be able to break down data in a more natural language way without having to be very specific, without having to use a mouse. I mean, we could just use our microphones, right? And just speak
absolutely,
to it.
Yeah.
I think all this is a reality within the next 5 years. These type of things are going to happen. They've already started to happen. But now, since the introduction of this new, ChatGPT as a platform and OpenAI, I think it's going to continue to accelerate. What I'm looking really forward to, and this is going to be the scary part that everybody's going to talk about Skynet, is what is quantum computing going to do for AI? And how does a quantum, and if you look at NVIDIA is already thinking that far ahead to pair GPU processing with quantum computing. So that's going to get interesting. I've been watching quantum computing for many, many years. I think there's a handful of people that actually can code quantum computing, but can an x86 ChatGPT or AI or an x86 GPU code quantum computing for us and code the new AI for us on quantum computing? So that's a hall of mirrors and a Skynet problem in itself.
That's quite the bombshell to end on. This has been really good. Really appreciate your time, Jason. All of us here at Liquidware are really excited about command control. So go to the website. There's a link here and you can get your hands on it. And as I said, we have a Slack channel. Give us your feedback, comments, whatever. Take care.
Thank you.